You're listening to The Reel Down, sponsored by Ketch Photo Release Tournaments. This is your premier tournament source. Here are your hosts, Sam Jones and Dan Perry.
All right, everybody, welcome to The Reel Down. This week, I'm going to have Brad Hicks with me, coming back to The Reel Down.
What's up?
Not much. Thanks for being on the show. Sam's out this week. He was busy. He's got a lot going on in his life right now, so I'm happy you could come on with me, Brad.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited. I haven't been on since October.
Yeah, I took your place back then, so it's nice to have us both on here.
You're the better man for it. You do the tournaments more than I do.
Yeah, well, you do great on the review show, and you get to play with all the cool stuff now. So,
Yeah.
So on the show tonight, if you're watching on YouTube, you've already seen them. Tonight we have Ryan and Katie Backa of Texas, formerly Pittsburgh, and they are a husband and wife couple who fish. They're really fishing everything this year. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. So now you live in, it said Little Elm, Texas, which is on the water, right? Like on a lake.
Pretty close.
Yeah, it's about a 5-minute drive for us.
Okay. So what brought you, how long have y'all been in Texas?
May will be 2 years.
Okay. What brought y'all out there from Pittsburgh?
I actually got a job down here. I went back to school, and once I graduated, they recruited me to move down here for a job. So.
And we might have looked at the fishing down here. That may have been just a little bit of a factor.
So that was like a big question I had, because whenever I think like the hotbeds of bass fishing in the U.S., you don't necessarily think about Pittsburgh. I know that there's been a classic up there, you know, and you've got some other urban guys, like obviously Ike and Ellie would be the big one, Adrian Avena, Jersey guy. So what I'll ask you first, Katie, what got you into fishing?
It was my friends. When I was a young teenager, friends of mine really enjoyed fishing, and I tagged along. We all worked on a horse farm together. So I started doing that when I was about 15 or 16 or so, and never stopped.
All right. And always bass fishing, or just a little
No,
bit?
actually up north, it's not just bass. We usually go for trout more often. We did chase bass, but they're, like a tenth of the size they are here. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm in Ohio. I know that feeling.
exactly.
Other than the smallmouth fishing, the smallmouth fishing in Ohio is great.
Yeah.
And everybody gets their turn catching the 4 bass up there in Ohio.
Yeah.
A little Ohio dig there. All right, Ryan, how about you, buddy? How'd you get into bass fishing?
Well, I started out trout fishing also whenever I was like 8. My good friend there, they had a big cabin up in the mountains, and they would go up for open day trout every year, and that's where I started fishing. And then I actually didn't start bass fishing until about 4 years ago.
Okay.
A friend of mine took me out on Erie on his boat to go for bass. We caught 1 bass all day long in the freezing cold.
Yeah.
But I was still hooked. It was just nice being out there on the water, and
Yeah.
And after that, I wanted to fish all the time again. So
Lake Erie will humble you, man. That place is, if you don't know what you're doing, it's pretty tough.
yeah.
A little bit.
That's cool.
And so why do you go with a kayak rather than staying with a big boat?
I enjoy the kayak personally.
I was going to
Yeah.
say it's one of those things that gets you closer to the water. It's
Yeah.
not noisy, and you don't disrupt everything when you're on a kayak. So it also is helpful to sneak up on fish.
Well, and where we started, there weren't many places where we would be able to bring a boat other than like the rivers and stuff. Most of the lakes near us were
No wake.
no wake, too small.
Mhm.
So we,
I like electric motor restrictions.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
That, and there's some places that we would launch the vegetation. There was no way you were going to get a boat back there.
Yeah.
So it's just too thick.
We have a lake like that up here in Ohio, but they don't allow any motors of any sort. So it's just human propelled in general. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is really nice. Like some of the lakes that we would go out on, it was really nice to not have any boats around. That was one thing we had to do coming down here. Not to mention the lakes are about 20,000 times larger than most of the ones we fished at home.
Yeah.
So what? I see you have an Old Town shirt there. What kind of kayaks y'all in?
Old Town Predator PDL.
Predator. Okay. Oh, both
Yeah.
Predators?
Yeah, we're both in Predators.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. I've never been in one, but I've heard they're fast boats, huh?
Well, yeah.
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 So I was actually in a Old Town Predator MX a few years ago, and that thing's really fast too, and it handles current great.
Oh, I bet.
It was a good boat. I miss it.
Yeah, they track really well, especially with how windy it is. Our first kayaks were ocean kayaks. They were just paddle kayaks. I had a Trident and
Caper.
Yeah, he was in a Caper. And we loved them. And up in Pittsburgh, they were a lot of fun, but we had a lot of mountains. So there's not nearly the amount of wind that there is here. So it took 2 weeks of us being here to realize we need pedal kayaks. It's too hard to stay in, when the winds are gusting at 20 and 30 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely added a unique challenge to learning all the lakes and everything down here.
A little bit.
Yeah. I was stationed in Abilene, 2.5 hours west of Dallas, and it was all that flatness. It gets real windy out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons we had you on, besides being awesome people, and just being a husband and wife couple, I love my wife and we have our own separate things, but I think that's kind of, that'd be awesome. I kind of idolize that. Like you see some other couples like AJ and Christine who are out on the road, and y'all too. What's it like being a couple who has that same love for the same sport?
Awesome.
Yes, it's pretty awesome. I don't ever have to worry about saying, "Hey, I want to go fishing," because she's like, "Yeah, let's go."
Yeah, why aren't we going fishing?
Actually, I'm not gonna lie. There are times where I get home from work and she's like, "We're going fishing, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, do we have to? All right, fine, let's go."
That's
one of those long days,
And it's nice to have somebody who's that, well, frankly, obsessed with your hobby as you are.
Yeah.
Some couples, I mean, the stuff you see all the time are all the memes of wives getting angry that they bought a new fishing pole or tackle or anything like that. That doesn't happen here.
No.
That's nice.
It's more like if you bring any of that stuff home, did you get one for me? I mean,
actually, our Valentine's gift to each other was tackle.
Yeah, seriously.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. So I think the one concern I have with that would be, I come home with a bunch of tackle, I feel guilty, so it kind of keeps me at least not going crazy. How do you stop each other from buying stuff? I think if me and my wife both did it, it would just go out of control.
Yeah.
I try to.
Okay, it's obviously went out of control.
At times, it's gotten.
It depends on is there a really good sale going on, and then we'll start loading up a cart or a basket, and before we leave the tackle section, I'm like, okay, we got to start doing some math. Just kidding, it's absurd. This is ridiculous.
Go easy on those jackhammers.
Oh, dude. Oh, don't get me started.
We actually, up until this year, we had never thrown a jackhammer, and now we're obsessed.
Yeah, we were old school chatterbait forever. We've got a billion of them, but man, you can't beat the bite on those jackhammers.
I haven't used one yet, but
seriously, if you don't want to go broke, just don't. If you want to fish, do it.
I'm stuck on the Project Z's, so I think I'm good for a while.
Yeah. So this is a reel down. So we talk about tournaments all the time, and we've had everybody from Jody Queen to, oh Lord, everybody talks about jackhammers and how good they are. So we got to talk about that for a second since you're talking about them. Do you have a certain trailer that you like? Everybody kind of has their own take on trailers for the chatterbaits.
For me, it depends on the color I'm throwing, oddly enough. But most of the time, I tend to gravitate towards a grub.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think
Cool.
that just the way that that propeller tail starts going adds to it without taking away from the vibration in the front. It's not kicking in opposite direction. So for me, that tends to work really well.
For me, I mostly take my old swim baits, the ones that are torn up in the front and you can't get them to stay on anymore. I'll cut off the front of them and I'll put those on there.
That's a good idea.
Versus
I never thought about that.
That's another thing. That's how we survive, with, oh man, how do you not go crazy? Well, we're really good at recycling and repurposing, and like maintenance is a really big thing. Like we do not buy reels, every 6 months or anything like that. We're still throwing reels that are 2 years old because we get attached to them, but we also just keep our maintenance up on them.
Yeah. At the last show we had Russ Snyder's on, and he would, like, that man, he makes his own tackle. He takes Mendit and he fixes all of his own old swim baits and soft plastics, and he's one of those, like y'all, really good at that. That's something I need to do. Yeah.
We've totally tried to find like good ways to repair plastics, and unfortunately, some of them there's no bringing them back once they're just wrecked.
That's true.
You could always melt them down and re-pour.
That's actually what we started doing.
We actually we have a bunch of them set aside to
melt them down and mess around with it.
That's cool.
Yeah. All right, so y'all are signed up for the Hobie event on Lake Fork. I'm sorry, Hobie event.
Yeah.
Do y'all usually use a motor, or is this something different for you?
No.
Okay.
We never use a motor.
Yeah, we never had motors on ours, so that's nothing.
I don't either. I know some people with the KBF and all that. That's kind of, I guess, maybe a downfall. I see it. I mean, I'm fishing the bass event too, or a couple of them, so I guess I could go either way, and maybe one day I'll get a motor. But I kind of like the purist side of it just being human powered too. That's cool to me.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
That's how we feel about it. And not to mention the fact it's just more weight and more stuff and more battery power, and like that takes away from the whole reason we're on a kayak to begin with.
Yeah. There's something to be said about somebody who pedals a kayak or paddles a kayak and beating the guys that do have motors. It's a good feeling.
Yes.
A lot of times, I mean, obviously everybody has their own feeling on this, but it seems like kind of motors are just the arms race of what's going to be next, who's going to have the next fastest, the lightest, with Mr. Eric Jackson coming out with the carbon fiber boats. What's going to be the next iteration of what we all need next, So yes, it is nice to have that line in the sand of no motor, and Hobie's staying with that. I definitely dig that too.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about Lake Fork. Have y'all been out there yet?
Oh, we love Lake Fork.
Yeah.
How far is that from y'all?
Hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, depending on which part of the lake we're going to.
Yeah.
So is that like your home lake there, or is there one closer?
We tend to go to Ray Roberts.
That's our home lake. Even though we live on Louisville, our home lake is Ray Roberts.
I gotcha. Yeah, I think you see all these different tournaments, and Florida does a good job with trophy bass, but what Texas is doing out there, Share a Lunker program, just how they've transformed their fisheries, such great management. It's definitely a model for everybody else in the country, and I think we're all jealous of how many kayak tournaments, how many trails, and the fishing out there in Texas, and what the state's been able to do.
Oh, absolutely. The Share a Lunker program is awesome. That was something we didn't come upon until a couple of months after we moved here, and I was pretty bummed out because I did catch a Share a Lunker within like 2 weeks of being here, but had no idea that existed. So
what was that, your personal best then?
At the time, yeah.
Like, what is it?
Well, it wasn't the top Share Lunker.
No, it wasn't a
Elite or whatever.
a legendary.
Yeah,
Is that the top one? It's a
Oh,
legendary.
they have like 3 different tiers, and I think the lowest tier is 24 inches or
8 pounds.
8 pounds.
And then it's like 11 and 13, I think. And it's a legacy bass. That's
it.
The biggest ones are legacy. It was not a 13 pounder. I'd have probably just dropped over dead if that happens.
So what's your personal best out there?
Right now 8.9 pounds.
Yeah.
And the length is I think 24 or 24 and a half. It's definitely 24, but I can't remember if it's just above that, but the weight for sure is 8.9.
What's the one? 24 and a half?
I don't remember.
She landed in what's the name of the magazine? The Fishing Game magazine for Pennsylvania before we moved down here for a 5 pound largemouth, like 24 something inch.
Wow.
And then moved down here and
it was like that fast. I caught a 5 pounder and I was like,
it was like the 5 pounder down here was what, like 19 inches?
No, it was another 24 inch
fish.
Yeah. Dang. That was the one that I was like, man.
See, I was going to mention that here in Ohio, you catch like a 4 or 5 pounder, you're doing pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Right. You're like, I'm there, man. I'm reaching the point. And you come here and you're like, I'm a failure. Like,
yeah, my biggest was 4.6 and 21 inches. So if that tells you anything about the fishing here, man.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, man, we were right next to you. We appreciate that's a good sized bass up there.
Yeah.
It's all relative.
Yeah. How about you, Ryan? She got you beat?
Oh yeah. She's got me beat by at least a pound.
Yeah.
My personal best was actually, my personal best lengthwise hopped off the board during a tournament on Whitney.
Devastating.
So I never got weight on it or anything. I actually didn't even get a good picture of it to turn it in.
And all I got about this far and boop, off the board it went. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking. But the ones that I got a measurement on was on Ray Roberts, I think.
Mm-hmm.
7.
Like 7.7.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh. That's not even a bass. Get out of here. No. I mean, I'm here in Alabama, and we have so much pressure that you can go out there and catch those bigs like that, but they're very few and far between, you know.
Yeah.
So.
They're around, but they're by no means easy to catch. I wish I could say oh yeah, I'm ripping 10 pounders out every 2 days. That's not the case. I mean, we catch big bass often, but those big lunker bass are probably like once every month or two.
I'd say on like the local trails, you'll see guys winning it with 2 or 3 20-pound or 20-inch.
I was like, what?
20-inch fish. In their stringer, you know, so you'll see them, but you don't see those huge fish. Like I think we had one guy actually Athens last year.
Oh yeah,
Brandon Leamer.
Yeah,
he caught on a Ned rig an 11-pound.
It was 11 or 13. Jeez. It was an absurdly huge fish.
Yeah.
First of the season.
Yeah, and it was January. It was freezing cold out.
Yeah.
And raining and miserable. And we all get back to the weigh-in. And he was like, "You won't believe this." And everybody was just like, "That's sick." Like, first tournament in terrible weather, and he gets this monster.
Like I throw my Ned brig on 6-pound line. I don't think I would get a fish that big in with that.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, you would be.
As long as it's not
a way to like rub your line or something, you would be very surprised at what you land with that small line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I probably caught a 5, but and I feel like that one was lucky. I've caught some big catfish, but never, a massive fish like that.
Yeah, right.
So Kurt Smits caught a 50-pound blue channel or a blue catfish on 8-pound mono up here on the Ohio River. He just had to play. He had to play with his drag, so it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, some of the biggest fish that I've caught are on my smallest rod that I use for like cranking and stuff. It's just if you finesse them and you know how to work a drag and whatnot, and you're not trying to just muscle them up into your boat, it can totally be done. That's
one of my problems.
Someone might have a little problem with that.
Yeah.
He's kind of a big guy.
Yeah, you gotta get them in there.
Yeah.
That's why I use braid.
Yeah, me too. But it still doesn't always help.
Yeah.
Whoops.
All right, so talking about Lake Fork at the tournament, this is we're recording on Tuesday, and the tournament's this weekend. Are y'all going to be practicing more this week, or what's your plan for it, or just going in? You know what you know, and time to go.
We definitely have our favorite areas that we like to launch, but we don't tend to over pre-fish at all because that gets in our head and you forget to fish what you're fishing that day. You start, one of my biggest things that I try to avoid is to fish memories. I do not like to do that. So pre-fishing isn't always on the top of our list. I think research and like mapping is way more important than pre-fishing.
Yeah, that's for the most part. I do like to pre-fish like a couple weeks beforehand just to see like color of the water and everything, and see like whenever the tournament comes what has changed, because that definitely helps figure out what's going on. But I'm not I don't have to be out there like for 4 days before the tournament or whatever.
I think the last time we were on Fork was like the beginning of January. And that was just a fun day of fishing. But it's definitely, no matter what you're looking for, you will find it there. Whatever kind of fishing you like to do. And pretty much everywhere you launch there, you're like, this is the sweetest fishery I've ever seen. Like everywhere you go. But it's not that easy to catch them all the time on Fork.
No.
And I haven't looked at the weather. It's definitely still like early pre-spawn, late winter there, huh?
Yeah, and the weather, it's definitely taken a swing in a big direction. Like it was 78 degrees here yesterday, and it's going to drop into the 30s
either tonight or tomorrow night.
Yeah, Wednesday and Thursday nights there.
Same thing here, yeah.
And it's going to start raining and thunderstorms. So the weather's going to be a little dicey going into it.
Yeah, it was a rude awakening this morning whenever I got up, and it was like 50 degrees, and it was already the high for the day. After 78 yesterday.
How's that work whenever you're out on the water? Is it something where a lot of the times you're working together, or you just kind of go off, do your own things, or?
We fish totally differently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My style is a lot different than hers, and last year that was actually one of our problems, is we would stick too close to each other.
Like within ear or eye shot of each other, if something were to happen, just because we weren't familiar with this kind of area. But it was tricky because we fish differently. So sometimes, one of us was going too fast or too slow, or, that type of stuff is hard to do. But the one thing we are kind of limited to is being at the same launch, because we're on the same truck. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times, even when we do that, we have such different preferences for areas to fish that we tend to like, okay, I'll see you later. Bye. Good luck. And we just take off in separate directions. So
has there ever come a time where like maybe one of you wanted to change launches and the other one's like, no, I'm on them, I'm not doing that?
Yep.
Oh yeah. It's happened.
So is it whoever's doing better gets to make the choice, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
If one of us is on them, like, good.
Yeah, I would never try and make her move if she was on fish.
And I wouldn't do that either. And when that has happened, whichever one of us isn't on fish just tends to like, all right, well, I'll go meander over here,
Yeah, I'll go try and find something else then.
Yeah.
So if like, does it ever change your strategy? Like, let's say Katie, you're in the lead, because y'all use Tourney X for the tournaments you usually fish her. So if you're in, let's say you're in the lead, and you don't catch a fish for a while, Ryan's doing okay, and he's like, to help you, do you ever, I mean, it's totally legal to do that. Would you ever help each other? Like, I've never had a partner like that where it would be, you need that fifth fish. Come over here, babe, because I know where they're at. And just to get that last one.
We're competitive for that.
Yeah, that's disingenuous, man. No, you got to catch them if you're going to catch them. Like, we love each other and all, but no, you can't have my fish. Like, sorry. But it's more of the other thing too. In particular, I don't look at leaderboards ever. So I don't know where I stand versus where he stands, unless we happen to like cross paths. Like, we were just doing a KFW tournament last weekend, and seriously, like, went two completely separate directions, and halfway through the day cross paths, and it was just like, hey, you doing any good? Nope, me neither, bye. And we just kept going opposite direction. But yeah, we don't play that game. We're, like you said, we're too competitive.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool though. This is kind of a cool perspective because you don't see this very often. I think Dan, there he is. Dan froze for a minute, but yeah, you don't see this perspective very often, so it's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've noticed that. Like, you do see a lot of the teamwork type stuff that happens, but we've also not been exposed to a ton of couples. There's only
a couple here and there, like.
But it's real. Like, we've seen them at one or two events, not all the time. Yeah. And like with Christine and AJ's situation, he doesn't fish them, so he's there. But so it's one of those.
Well, they both can be fishing bass, right?
Yeah, that's gonna be super fun.
That could be interesting.
Yeah, they're both signed up for that one. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So what? If it's still that early pre-spawn, late winter kind of bite going on, especially with a cold front coming through, is there something that you've seen that? I mean, if you're out there fishing on one lake, I'm sure it's pretty close to the same on another. Is there, some kind of without giving up any juice, or are there some techniques or something that's going on working right now for you?
Oh, that totally depends on where. Like the stuff that worked on one lake last Saturday was totally not what worked on Sunday at a totally different lake. So it really, I mean, around here we've noticed, like, you can't say this thing at this time of year totally going to do it, regardless. But with it being that, with that big of a swing happening, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a little more finessey.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they backed off a little bit and got in deeper.
Yeah, and paying attention to, locating them is going to be tricky, I think. If it does swing that far. I don't know what the water temps are at the moment. I think last I saw them, they're like in the mid 50s. So it might not affect them that much, but if it does storm that much and that much runoff goes in, that's going to change the game up too.
Well, Forks under a flood advisory right now.
Yeah.
Because of how much rain we've had recently. So it's all chocolate milk from what I've heard.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but from what I've been told, it's just all chocolate milk right now.
Bust out those black and blues.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And jackhammers.
Exactly. See, it always goes back to a jackhammer.
So is there like some favorite techniques that y'all have? I know you said that you fish totally different. What makes that different, and what's your specialty, I guess, besides the jackhammer?
I love shaky heads. Like shaky heads and wacky rig. Those are I'll throw those all day.
I love a shaky head. I hate a wacky rig. And I definitely tend to gravitate more towards swim baits a lot.
Big
Yeah,
swim baits, little
big
swim
one.
baits.
Yeah.
Like normal sized ones, not like my arm's gonna fall off after half a day throwing at ones.
Yeah.
I can't swing those monsters all day long. That was the reason we got pedal kayaks, because I had shoulder surgery years ago. So doing that with the stuff that's got a lot of resistance is tricky. I mean, even with a jackhammer, to be honest, I can only throw that for so long. And then at some point I'm just punishing myself.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you guys listen to KBN Live or anything, but they just had Jake Harshman on, and he was talking about using his jackhammer down on Seminole, and he said by the end of day one, his hand was still shaking because of that jackhammer thumping so hard.
Absolutely.
I've been there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So is there a certain, like, what do you think it's, I guess a couple of questions. What do you think it's going to take to win it and maybe be in the money? Is there a certain, like, this is what I need to do well, and this is what I think it's going to win?
Are you talking length, like the stringers that it'll take?
Yeah, the length for the 2-day tournament.
My guess
are we talking 200 or?
I'm saying 185.
I'm gonna go a little higher than that, because every time I think you're like, that sounds reasonable, 185 is about right, somebody just demolishes that, and you're like, how did you get to 198? How did that even happen? Yeah. So I don't think it would be impossible for it to be in the 190, 200 range.
I definitely think it's possible.
It depends on who's fishing. Is Guillermo Gonzalez going to be fishing this tournament?
Yes, I believe.
I'm not sure. I think so.
Yeah, I don't see how it wouldn't be.
Yeah, he's one of the best fishermen out there. He's going to put up some big numbers. Him and Matthew Scott.
Always does.
Yeah, he's an amazing angler, and he's just a really cool guy. He's fun to hang out with at the weigh-in and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, but besides him, the Scotch, Guillermo, and y'all two, are there some other names that everybody should be looking out for?
Brian Howell.
Yeah.
Everybody keeps saying that, man.
That's his lake.
He won the Hobie Bass Open out there last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's good down here.
Yeah, he does. He's a very consistent angler. That's something that, even we're totally still working on down here, is just that consistency to be able to fish any conditions, any lake. There are some lakes here that just beat the crap out of us. I do not do well in like mud holes that just have some rocks on them. You put all kinds of junk in the water, like Pennsylvania. Well, yeah, that's where the bread and butter is. But who else would be names that's going to be there?
I'm not sure who's on the list.
Yeah, honestly, we'd have to pull the list.
Although Pendergraft wouldn't be a bad.
Mark Pendergraft.
I've heard that name before.
He does pretty well on fork.
Yeah, he tends to get on them too. I don't know.
Well, it's okay. That's we're rooting for y'all too. So the heck with everybody else.
Oh, I just tell everybody I'm a fan of the sport, man. I just enjoy watching the leaderboards.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's when we're not at them. That's a big thing that we're totally keeping an eye on them. When there's big ones going on, you're always kind of like, yes, they're in the lead. Crap, they fell behind.
And we'll be on the water, fun fishing or whatever, and we'll be like, oh, did you see they just moved up? And
like, holy crap, did you see the last one they just got? It's crazy. Oh, that's another one, Jeff Isham.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna stomp on some people, I would guarantee.
him and Brock Howe, they had a good showing at Seminole a couple weeks ago. Yeah. A lot of Texas guys out there showing Florida how to fish.
Oh yeah. That tends to be a thing, apparently.
Go ahead, Brad.
I feel like the bite's going to be pretty similar to Seminole. I'm guessing, at least, if it's going to be that cold front.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
It would be very nice if it wasn't quite that difficult. I heard that was a little brutal.
Yeah.
At least from
almost half the field only had one fish or no fish, and then I think only the top 13 had 5 fish both days. So it was,
And
I know it was brutal on me. It was brutal on a lot of people. I just zigged when I should have zagged. And I still don't know what happened because I was throwing a jackhammer and doing everything else everybody was. I think in that tournament, it was more of a concentration of, like there was an area where they were at. So I like to say that, but then Kurt Smith's was in my area too, and he got third. So I don't know.
hey, we did a local tournament with KAFW last weekend, and I was within eye shot like half the day. They were a good ways away from me because I don't like to get near people, and I don't like when they're sitting on top of me either. But I was within eye shot of pretty much everybody that was in the top rankings of that tournament, and I didn't catch a single fish. So I think
I caught 1 fish that day and landed in the top half of the field.
Wow.
That's
that messes with your head a little bit.
It does. It
does. But a buddy of ours, John Stockman, he told us when we first moved here, he was like, keep something in mind. You can't catch my fish, and I can't catch yours. Because everybody's style, even if you're throwing the same exact thing, you don't work the same way, and not even close. And we've noticed that at home. We have a big planted fish tank, and we were trying to figure out like why he'll catch more on, say, a shaky head than I will. And I was like, well, let's drop those things in the tank and see what the heck the difference is. And it was night and day between what the baits were doing just by how we hold our rods, made a huge difference. So sometimes it comes down to that.
So talking about a shaky head so much, I'm kind of a shaky head freak too. What's your setup? What kind of shaky head and worms and what, or maybe not worms, maybe creature baits? What's your setup there?
We love owners.
Yeah. Owner shaky heads with Zoom. What is it?
Trickworm.
Yeah.
Trickworm.
That's a favorite. I tend to throw creature baits on it occasionally, but not big, huge ones. A lot of times, like I'll put little finesse type creatures on them, but it does have to be like a certain setting, where that the bite dials in that way. And when they don't want that, they absolutely don't want it. But the shaky head worm, that's probably tied on most of the time.
And do you throw the Ned too, or do you keep them on separate rods, or no, just shaky head?
I have thrown a Ned. I just didn't like throwing it much. I'd rather drag a tube or something than throw a Ned.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. My biggest thing I don't like about it, besides just how small they tend to be, they're too they hang up too much.
Yeah.
Like at least that I've noticed, I would much rather throw something that's weedless than a Ned rig. They just seem to catch every freaking thing in the water.
See, I think throwing a tube out there would be good because that's probably not something a lot of other people are doing. So you have something a little bit different going on.
Yeah, we don't notice a ton of people throwing that. I mean, like down here, you'll hear everybody throwing, a chatterbait, a square bill, a Texas rig, a Carolina rig, and a Ned rig. Like I would say those are probably like the top 5 that you'll hear about the most. And outside of that, because like I definitely would say like deep diving crankbaits is something that like you either can do or you can't. Like,
yeah.
I think like to me, deep diving, because I moved over from a bass boat, it's a lot. That's like the one technique where in a bass boat I felt like I really had an advantage. That and big spoons. It just you just don't have the leverage on a big crankbait or a big spoon like you would in a boat. That's kind of the one thing I just don't really throw much anymore.
Yeah.
It all depends. I mean, like I'll throw them occasionally, not super deep diving. That's like the same thing as a chatterbait. Those, all that resistance wears on you. So that's, if they're hitting them, sure, but otherwise that's not a favorite of mine, at least.
I'll tie one on. I tie one on more often than she does, but not like all the time. It really depends where I'm marking fish, though.
So after the Fork event, hopefully y'all do well there. Win, bring home the big check like 1 and 2. And
that would be crazy.
That would be awesome.
So after that, y'all have the Logan and Martin event over here in Alabama, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Have you ever fished at? So you fished in up there? I'm sorry, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that area. I'm sure some, maybe New York, some area around there. In Texas, have y'all ever fished anywhere else, or is this kind of the first time going on a trip outside the state?
We shore fish in North Carolina.
Yeah, shores and piers in North Carolina, but obviously that's not even close. But no, other than that, never been to any other states for fishing, at least. Yeah. So it's going to be super interesting to lay eyes on a lake and just pretty much like, yeah, we're going to do this. Like,
yeah,
just dive in.
I mean, just from the pictures I've seen, it seems like it's kind of that rocky, more. It's been raining so much here too. I think we just get everything a day or two after y'all, because we had flood alerts tonight too. But
then a week later, it gets up to
yeah, that's right. But it's more of that rocky kind of lake, not too much grass. So yeah, if you like fishing shaky heads, it's a great lake for a shaky head. So it should fit right in. A lot of docks for wacky rigs. So you should do okay here. If you'd like to fish those too, that should be your jam.
That's going to be, I'm going to have to force myself to do that. That's like a downfall of mine is I still keep like, I don't want to fish the docks. Like I would much rather get up into the junk and into the weeds and stuff. Like topwater fishing. Oh, I love that. That's a big differentiator. I love frogging. He does not.
Oh, really?
I don't either.
Not a frogger.
Me either.
Well, you're not really. I mean, it'd be too cold this time of year probably, but it's not just enough grass on. I mean, Guntersville, like an hour north of Logan Martin, that's the jam, but not on Logan Martin.
Yeah.
So what else after that? What else are y'all fishing this year?
We'll go back to Lake Fork for bass.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, there's 3 big ones just back to back.
Yeah.
We'll go Hobie, Logan Martin, and Hobie.
Or bass.
Or yeah.
Fork.
Yeah. Do what I meant.
Logan Martin.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Just somewhere to win money.
Yeah, it's all
the same.
Try to.
Yeah, it's not always a money game. It's throwing a lot of money to it, sure. But
that's right.
Yeah, I'm envious of all you guys, man, getting to travel and fish all these tournaments. I wish I could.
That's tricky. I mean, we're not going to be able to make a lot of the other, like all the other bass and Hobie events. Like we're going to try to get to as many as we can, but I don't know if we'll be able to swing more of them than we're already in. Cause I mean, everything we do, that's double the cost.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for entry fees and everything.
Yeah.
It's double.
Well, there's like Arkansas probably, and I mean that's not too far from y'all, like Darnell, and they're one up there.
Yeah, that's one that we might end up at because I think it was only like a 5-hour drive, which is like bad at all. It's going to be like 10.5 hours to get up to Alabama, so that's going to be a trek.
I'm closer than you guys are. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. But I mean, Texas is so ridiculously large, but you're really fortunate too because there's so many tournaments there. But I'm sure, like for me, I'm in central Alabama, so I can get to Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee the same way, or I could go 2 or 3 states and you would still be in Texas.
Yep. Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So is there a local trail that y'all usually fish there?
There are 2 local trails that we fish. Okay. Yeah, religiously. We do Kayak Anglers of Fort Worth and NTXKC, the
North Texas Kayak Championship.
And then there is a single event every year that is hands down the best event in all of kayak fishing, which is the Lone Star Throwdown. And if you haven't been to it or don't know about it, you should totally look that up because it is like the best time you will have at a tournament. Like
that's all 5 clubs coming together, isn't it? or something.
Well, it's not
all
the
of
clubs, it's
Texas.
regions. Yeah.
Regions, yeah.
Yeah,
I think we covered it last year.
Okay.
Yeah, there's there's actually 6 now because East Texas split into East Texas and Southeast Texas Kayak Bass League.
The alphabet people.
The alphabet guys.
Yeah, which reminds me, we got another host from Texas. He does a saltwater segment, Dustin Nichols. I don't know if you know him or not.
I've heard the name.
Yeah, we don't know.
He's from
He
the
fishes bass
Southeast
stuff too.
Yeah,
He's down, but closer to Houston.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I think he fished that Lone Star Throwdown last year. I can't remember exactly.
That man fishes everything.
Yeah, he does.
It's just a lot of fun because it's more of like, I don't know, it's like adult sleepaway camp. It's like the best way to put it. Like you're going for, we end up going like Thursday till Sunday. And it's just, you get to see everybody. And even though you're doing a tournament and whatnot, it's super laid back. The food is always phenomenal. It's sponsored by Western Sun Vodka. So
And Real Ale Brewing.
Yeah. So there's, it's all the food and drinks and whatnot is all included. So everybody kind of gets to like catch up, and it's not super serious. It's more fun than anything when you start seeing who's going up and who's won and what regions. I mean, nobody's going to beat the North. Like North Texas just destroys everybody every year. Just a little bit. But individually,
Talking
it's fun to
shit.
see them go up there. I'm just saying, stuff is what it is. We've lived here. This will be our 3rd year going to it.
Yeah.
I'd put money on North Texas.
I've won in the past 2.
Yeah,
Actually,
that's Matthew Scotch is out of North Texas, right?
Yeah.
So is Guillermo.
Okay, yeah. Matthew won the Lone Star last year.
Yes.
Yep.
And a friend of ours, Glenn, came in 2nd. I believe.
Somewhere around there. And Mark is up here too, Mark Pendergraph.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a lot of sticks that live right here.
Like, where's the north line? Is it like Dallas, like Waco North, or I guess where?
I think it so you can fish for whoever you want to.
Oh, I got you.
But it's most of the people tend to fish where they fish their trail. Like we always did the North Texas trail. So
and like KFW is right smack in the middle of North Texas.
Yeah.
But like the different,
like West Texas, all those guys
like they
that fish
are
the West Texas
West
trail
Texas.
will fish for
Is there
West.
even any water out in West Texas? It's just like oil fields. There's not much.
Dude.
I've been
There was
told-
I lived in Abilene. There was like one lake.
We've not gone very far west. So
Hey,
east
I've
or
been
south.
there. Don't go.
Southwest Texas, there is a body of water there that is on my bucket list, and it's the Devil's River.
Oh,
Yeah.
we hear
I
that-
want to get out there so bad.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
I also want to go to Falcon.
Yeah, Falcon, Amistad, like all that stuff in the
Yeah.
south on the border. Yeah.
yeah. It almost starts getting absurd when you try to like list them, the ones that you want to go to. Like
Well, I mean,
that's a big one. We would love to go out to Clear Lake and Delta, those tournaments. I don't know if we're gonna be able to swing that. Even that's 24-hour drive or something for us.
Yeah.
But that's one of those. That'd be pretty sick to go compete in those ones.
Yeah, those are
That would be cool. I'd like to meet some of the guys out there on the West too.
Yeah.
That too.
Yep.
I mean, y'all are so fortunate being in Texas where you have, Toledo Bend. I mean, you have so many Great Lakes in Texas, and like I said earlier, the state taking care of all the resources so well. It's just I love Alabama and I love going down fishing Florida, but I don't think anybody can argue that Texas is the place to be if you're a bass fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to beat, and there is actually a brand new lake that's going to be going in North Texas. It's going to be like in Plano, or
No.
It's not far from us where it's
Prosper.
yeah.
It's up
It's
up
all
north
of-
of us.
it's
a little
like
bit.
I want to say it's within a half an hour drive of us, that they're going to be building a new reservoir. And that's going to be, at least from stuff that we've heard, that's going to be like another Fork or Athens. You know, they're just going to load it with share longer bass up there. But obviously it's going to take a handful of years for that to, you know, really come alive. And who knows when they're going to let people fish it. I doubt that would be right away. But that's another one that, like, all right, man, like, got to put it on the calendar, like, 5 years from now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exciting. You don't hear about many, you know, good sized lakes being made nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently it's been like 30 years or so here, I believe is what I read in the article.
Yeah. Something like that.
It's been a long time.
I can't imagine. It seems like nowadays you would have to buy out so many people's houses and land that it would just be cost prohibitive to do it. But Texas, you don't have all that land. You can do that.
Right. It's actually kind of sad though. Like we do live in a more suburban area, but we are definitely like would rather be more out in the cut. And it's kind of bums us out when we start seeing the stuff that's farther out getting developed. I mean, it just pops up like that, and all of a sudden you're like, where the heck did all these things come from? Like there was a farm here 5 minutes ago.
Where'd all the cows go?
Yeah, like what? I mean, we've been here for 2 years, but I mean that. Who knows? Maybe somebody sold just one giant farm.
Yeah, probably one dude's ranch, and now it's going to be a lake. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, besides those, I mean, there's a couple other events going on the 22nd and 23rd KBF Pro Tour Claremont Chain of Lakes down in Florida, which is south of the Harris Chain. None of us are fishing it, but good luck to everybody there. And also speaking out in California on Folsom Lake, the 22nd is Yakabass / KBF tournament. And I think everybody who's watched Greg Blanchard and Mobbing Outdoors, 2 native guys, woo. But yeah, I mean, you know, if you're watching that North Cal stuff, there's, you know, you see how good Folsom could be. So good luck to everybody fishing in those events, and to y'all too. We so appreciate you being on the show. It was fun talking to you. Do you have any sponsors or any shout outs you want to do?
Oh, absolutely. Anglers Pro Tackle, that's here in North Richland Hills. Lake Fork Trophy Lures, Rod Socks. Old Town's a really big one. That was awesome getting invited to be on their team. And Fishbrain. The Fishbrain app actually is a new sponsor of mine. So they're pretty awesome. But even everybody in North Texas, pretty much, you know, like there's so many awesome people up here that it's not just, you know, an organization. It's really is like the community up here is fantastic. You know, you go to a local.
They were very welcoming.
Yeah.
When we first moved here.
Yeah, being from up north, not everybody's that nice up there.
It's true. People tend to be nice. People tend to be nicer in the South. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think it's the cold weather up north that makes everybody a little mad. But there's so much sunshine down here.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely all those, you know, the ones that we mentioned, they're awesome. You know, they help along the way. Everything helps. Every sponsor that we get. And our friends, most importantly, like we couldn't be where we are right now without all of them. So,
yeah.
All right. So how can everybody check you out online?
You can find me on www.fishlikeacat.com, and that's a cat with a K.
I like it.
We also, it's not super up and running yet, but we totally are building a Team Backa.com and Team Backa Facebook. And the Fish Like a Cat you can find on every social media outlet that exists. I assume over time we'll probably do the same thing with the Team Backa thing. It's fun to do the one together, but the Fish Like a Cat stuff is like my outlet for writing and art and all that stuff. So that's definitely where you can find me.
Cool. Well, good luck, and I'll definitely be seeing you at Logan Martin, and if anything you ever need, let us know. So follow them online, and definitely support their sponsors. Any sponsors that's supporting kayak anglers, please follow all these people instead of the ones who aren't. The more that we can sponsors and money we can bring in this sport, the better for everybody. So thank you for being on show, and good luck, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a good night.
See ya.
Thanks. See ya.
Go check out the website, guys. Paddle, the letter N and fin.com. Also check out YouTube, youtube.com/paddle and fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest, feel free to email us at paddle, the letter N and fin @gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're doing giveaways, announcements, things like that at Facebook and Instagram at Paddle and Fin. Shout out to our show supporters, Rocktown Adventures, Loveland Canoe and Kayak, Hammered Lures, Fish Mob Lures, TRC Covers, Ketch Products. Go to ketchproducts.com. You can put the Paddle and Fin logo right on your catch board. Don't forget to go over and pick up your JigMasters Jigs. Use promo code PNF20 and save 20% today. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to. It helps grow the audience, helps others find our podcast. So please drop a 5-star rating in on the podcast platform you're listening on. Don't forget about the recycled plastics program, you guys. Take your used plastic baits, put them in an envelope, mail them to the address in the show notes. Our man Eric Richards at Hammered Lures melts those down, makes new baits, and donates them to various chapters of Heroes on the Water.